Hello, Drewy. Hello, Nest family. Great to be with you. Not the result we wanted against the Pies, but we look forward to Melbourne on the weekend, Drew Jones. And I'm happy to say that I got to see the Eagles in the flesh as a fan, so not as a commentator, which I've seen a few times recently. I reckon for the first time in maybe 4 years. So I enjoyed that aspect of Sunday's game against Collingwood, if not the result.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been that much fun being in the crowd. I personally was at a Mother's Day family event. I was given the option to go to the game, but I said, family's important, and if I make us change the entirety of the day's plans around West Coast, and I feared a heavy loss, I thought my mood's going to be bad. You're not going to be feeling great because, A, the result hasn't gone the right way for me. I'm feeling annoyed, and then we've also sort of thrown out potential, nice family time. So I thought I'm waiting to cash in the West Coast attendance sort of petrol tickets a little bit later when we're competitive all the time and we're starting to push for that next flag. I'm just saving them up. I would have liked to have got along, but I just wanted to get a feel for the Daniel Garb West Coast fan experience. Is there yelling? Is there standing up? Is there interaction with other Collingwood fans, or is it just keep it pretty sort of under the radar?
I was up and about. I've got no surprise to many a loud voice at times, so it's it can probably surprise a few. My wife a couple of times went like, "Geez, calm down," because it comes from, as everyone knows, you're a fan. You're sitting there, and then something happens out of nowhere, and the octane levels go, through the roof. So it was. I was loud at times, but that's all right. I mean, there was Harley's mark early on, which one of the highlights of the day. I was up on the feet for that one, and we caught Nick Dacos holding the ball in our defensive goal square late on, and I gave a big ball. So that was fun to do when it's Nick Dacos pinged with it. But obviously there was a moment there where you were pretty quiet. We did get loud late in the game when they were already 10 goals up, but they kicked one, and then it was we saw that Tommy B touched it. So I turned around and playfully gave it to some of the Collingwood fans who enjoyed it. It wasn't too much to scream about, but I am quite vocal. It was a quiet atmosphere, I must say. I mean, the only disappointing aspect of the game, apart from the result, was Marvel Stadium closing the roof on a beautiful sunny day in Melbourne at 1 o'clock. It just dilutes the whole atmosphere. Even the Collingwood fans, reigning premiers, back up and about, 40-odd thousand there, and it was quiet, really quiet. So I found that disappointing, but nice to see the team live. I mean, some of the observations, the positives are few and far between, but I enjoyed them booing Dom Sheed. In fact, I think by the end of the game, Eagles fans were joining in because Dommy's not going too well at the moment. But that was a reminder, Drewy, of 2018, of course. Collingwood fans booing him. I don't know. As an Eagles fan, I quite enjoyed it. You're reminding us of one of the great days in the history of our football club and great moments. Thank you for booing him.
That
put a smile on my face.
Yeah, they're not over it, obviously.
Exactly. So I really enjoyed that. I mean, Harley's mark early was a great moment, but he was quietish again. The positive for me at the moment is our defence is really strong. We actually have a really good AFL backline. If you did our best from the weekend, I reckon it's 5 or 6 defenders and that's it. They were the only players really who could hold their head up high, along with maybe Tyrell Dewar on debut, who was lively. We've obviously got a fantastic combination in Gov and Tommy B. That's up there with the best in the competition. A couple of premiership players in Tommy Cole and Liam Duggan who are going really well. And then 2 players who have really emerged in the last few weeks and are playing very good footy is Josh Rotham and Alex Witherden. I thought Alex Witherden was fantastic on the weekend. His best game as an Eagle by far. And honestly, at one stage, I turned to my mate and I said, throw him on the ball because we are getting smashed around the contest. No one is putting up a fight. This guy is running to every single contest. He is winning most contests. You can tell he's confident. He's clean with the ball at the moment. You could do worse than put him in the middle and hope to win something because no one else is. So that was really nice to see. But unfortunately, outside of the backline, mate, we just can't win a contest anywhere, not just at stoppages, but around the ground as well, up forward. It was just so poor, and that allowed Collingwood to run all over us.
Yeah, it was a frustrating game. when I watched it later on replay, and I was warned to potentially not bother, but I wanted to sit through it. So the clearance stuff was so stark. At the ground, were you sort of aware of how much they were dominating, particularly centre clearance in that first half? And was it obvious, and was it getting on your nerves? Because it was frustrating me watching the game.
It was infuriating. So, Bailey Williams, we've sung his praises for a year and a half, and so we should, but just seemed like it was a bit too much for him up against, not the league's best ruck combination, but a very good ruckman in Darcy Cameron, and then obviously a beanpole in Mason Cox. And maybe it's taking its toll on Big Baz a little bit, and so he's struggling there, but you've still got to win enough when the ball hits the ground, right? Like, not all ruck contests are won or stoppages are won from a clean palm down. So we just weren't competing at all. And, Dom Sheed, there's not much that needs to be said other than he's just nowhere near it at the moment. And early on I was saying, I don't know why we don't start with Ruben Jinby in the middle. Like, he is the body we need at stoppages right now, especially without Elliot Yeo. He is big enough. He competes. Like, early on it was apparent, just get Dom Sheed out of there. He's not going to win a thing, and put Jinby in. And Ruben played a good game and did nicely across half back, but we've got to get him into more stoppages at the moment, with or without Elliot Yeo. And give Harley a bit of a chop out too. Like, Harley should start on the weekend at half forward because they were watching him so closely. That was one thing that stood out at the game. Like, Scotty Pendlebury, one of the greatest of all time, watching Harley Reid's every single move at stoppages. Melbourne will do the same this weekend. I feel like we need to start him out of the middle and let him get in there later, just so we can just surprise the opposition a little bit and not have him marked as closely as he has been the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, without Yo, he's the most dynamic player at stoppage, and he's made such a difference for us. That's been obvious watching us over the first 8 weeks. So I'm not surprised that McRae put that work into him. But I thought Jinby attending some centre bounce and playing a bit more inside midfield time just made so much sense with Yo out of the team. Yeah. And then he ends up either playing on the wing or at half back. So, that was interesting. I mean, I thought he was okay in the back line, and he's shown that he can do that. I just thought, well, he hasn't had a prolific year. Like, we haven't seen him get good numbers in terms of possessions. Maybe that was a chance to inject him into the midfield. And Dom just looks like a guy who's barely played footy for 2.5, 3 years. Like, he's just off the pace and he's rusty as all hell. So whether he needs a bit of time back in the waffle or not, but he's sort of done that already, hasn't he? Like, he had his waffle stint, and they were hoping, I guess, that he was going to be up to speed. But it's not really working at the moment. I wonder if they give Jai Cully a chance this week to play some midfield minutes. He was pretty good. It was a big loss in the waffle as per, I suppose. But he might be one that they give a chance to. I mean, obviously, fitness tests for Yo and for Waterman and McGovern this week, but so we're a bit up in the air in terms of what the team's going to look like. I don't really have much else to say about the Collingwood game, to be honest. I mean, obviously we missed Waterman, but we lacked a bit of a target up forward. Marek did his best, and it was good to see Dewar get a chance, and he looked lively. But they're a much better team than us, and that they won't go out of the top sort of 6 to top 4. You'd think for the rest of the season. They haven't lost since Easter, so the Pies are a good side, and they're coming into form at the right time. But this, the contested ball and the clearances and the stuff around stoppage is disheartening, because that's an area that we've really improved this year. So our contest work, at the coalface, we've been such a much more competitive team. So just been some signs in the last few weeks that's flagging, and that to me is a bad sign. That would mean that we're going to go backwards in terms of our competitiveness. But we do have some winnable games coming up. We've got a couple of games against St Kilda, and we've still got a Hawthorn game, I'm assuming, in the nearest future. So there's some games that we can win. It'd be nice to sort of tune up those areas. Yeah, it's an issue, and it can't just be about Yowie. Like, it can't be as simple as, Elliot Yeo's not there, we get smashed in the stoppage. Like, come on, we've got to be better. Flynn might make a difference. He's going to be back in the next couple of weeks. That gives Bailey a chance to have a bit of a rest, but but I mean, Tim Kelly had a poor game. Like, he's better than that. He needs to give us more. Like, we love Timmy and what he's done recently, but he has these games where it's going against him. He just doesn't fight his way through it enough. And this was one of those games, I reckon. Like,
last week against Essendon, his first half was poor and then he shines in the second half. And you think, geez, if Timmy was up to it in the first half, we'd have won that game. So, I mean, we're not going to smash him. He's been great for us. He carried the can for a large part of last season, but he had a downer. We just need to find a way to get a bigger body in the middle and win some more stoppages. And it's not just centre bounce or stoppages around the ground. It's also like when it's ground balls. We often hear Simo say that, ground balls. We were so poor at ground balls. Like the likes of Liam Ryan, as we know, struggling to get up to speed, but he used to be so good at that. When the ball hit the deck, he'd get there first. He'd get hands to it quickly. Cripper had a poor game. Also just thought he wasn't getting his hands to the football enough when it hit the deck, when the forwards were trying to make a contest. None of those ground balls we were winning. And then it's obviously easier when you're the better team like Collingwood to get on the front foot and start running. We've seen that against us numerous times, but it was so stark sitting at the ground that on the outside, guys like Hunty and Chess tried hard, and Lukey Edwards, who's also struggling. I mean, I don't see how he stays in the team. Just a yard off the pace as soon as the ball's there to be won, and then they get hands to it and they're off. And it's like, well, how are they getting 5 meters away from us so quickly in these areas? And that was really frustrating. Is it fitness? Is it a lack of speed in the team? Or is it simply that they're on the front foot because they know they're going to win the ball and we're not?
Yeah, ground ball's been such a problem for us, hasn't it, for the last 3 or 4 years. So it's an area we had improved in to the start of the year. So let's hope that can get back to where it was. And maybe, I've just broken I've just been leaning on a shelf in the office here, and I've just literally broken it. Sorry about that, Fox Sports News. Anyway, what do you think the plan for Melbourne is this week? Something that was occupying my mind today was, what do we do about Christian Petrarca? Because Matthew Kennedy tagged him in the midfield and then he goes forward and kicks 5. Do we just let him go about his own devices, or does Hoff look at him in the front when he goes into the front 50? Or what's the best play for Petrarca?
Yeah, I left Hoffy out of the backs discussion. Sorry, I shouldn't have done that. He was excellent on Bobby Hill. We've got a really good back line, like experienced players, quality pillars, and then Hoffy coming through as a youngster who's getting the number 1 medium forward job every week and doing it really well. So to be honest, it seems like a straight Ruben Jinby tag. Like when he goes in the middle, Ruben, you go there with him. And then when he goes forward, where you can play halfback, you've got the size, you've got the engine, you've got the strength, you love a challenge. Just put Ruben Jinby up against him for the entirety of the football match. Yeah,
I like that. And it's a good way to get him into the game, get him into centre bounces when Petrarca's in there. Yeah, I like that as well. And then Oliver's coming into form, so it would be nice to get Yo back. He's a test this week.
I watched him running on some Instagram vision, and look, by the time people listen to this, you'll already know if he's in or not, but it didn't look promising to me. And considering his history, I'd be really surprised if it was just a week.
We went through that phase of rushing players back too quickly, and it never served us well. So I think opting on the side of caution wouldn't be a bad thing with Yo. Probably a different story with Waterman. If he's passed through the concussion protocols and he's symptom-free, then you get him back in the team. Simo told a funny story. I don't know if it was true or not, because sort of him and Schofield were having a bit of a laugh about it, but that McGovern, while they were waiting for the ambulance to go to the hospital, he said, "Oh, can I go back on the ground for a bit longer?" I don't know if that was true or not, but hopefully he's available because Melbourne don't have lots of big key forwards who are particularly threatening. Like that would allow potentially McGovern to sort of shine a little bit as an intercept player rather than having to do a lot of actual one-on-one defensive work. So it would be nice if he was in the team, because that could give us a little bit of punch against the Demons and give them a little bit of something to worry about.
Yeah, we want him back. Look, if he does miss again, Gov, or he misses, Harry Edwards played really well when he came in. So I think we feel slightly more comfortable than if it was otherwise the case. So I still think Harry Edwards, if we're playing Carlton with Kerno Mackay, it'd be a different story. But Melbourne doesn't have major key forward threats. Van Rooyen's out as well. So I think we can still manage them down back, considering the way our backline's functioning, if Gov misses and Harry Edwards plays, considering TB's form and the others. But ultimately, mate, if we're getting smashed out of the middle, it makes no difference. You can have Bruce Stool, Silvani, Darren Glass, Ashley McIntosh. Doesn't matter who's down there, mate. It can't be won that easily every single time. So if we're going to give our backline a chance, which is really good at the moment, we just need to win more ball in the middle of the ground. And yeah, it's going to be Kelly. It's going to be Harley for large periods. And then who's in there with him? For me, it's Jinby, especially when Petrarca's in there. It just can't be Sheed. It just can't be at the moment. His confidence is too low. He's not going to win those balls. He's just not reacting quickly enough. So who are the other options? Jai Cully can pinch hit. Zane True is an option, I think, for this week. Clay Hall's not, reading the injury report. So it's, Zane True is someone that comes into calculations along with Cully. I'd like to see them throw Cripper in there. Like, he's pretty good when it comes to winning contests more often than not. We've done it a bit with Petrocelli. Throw Jamie Cripps in there and say, mate, just win us a quick kick. Do what Swans do with Tom Papley, which is throw him in there for spurts just to inject some energy into the middle. I'd like to see that potentially.
Well, with Petrocelli out this week, and that gives them a really good chance to bring Cully in if they want to, and then he can definitely play, whether it's a 50-50 split midfield forward or 60-40 or whatever it needs to be. I don't know, maybe it'd be nice just to throw him the keys for 1 week. If we assume Yo probably not going to play, it gives Cully a chance to actually play sort of his natural position. He's shown little glimpses. It'd be nice to get him out there and actually see what he can do. But yeah, I don't think we can go back to the well with Sheed again. So they need to do something a little bit different. Like, whoever plays in the midfield this week's got to be up for it, because Oliver, Sparrow, Petrarca, Viney, sort of as their main four with Gawn, like, they're tough, like, they're hard. Like, if you don't come ready to play and to put your nose over the pill, like, you're going to get smashed. So yeah, whoever's up for it, and whoever's in there needs to be ready to go, because it's going to be on.
How do you stop Max Gawn? I mean, if Bailey's starting to lag a little bit, that's just a massive worry. My goodness, what we'd do for Scotty Lysette and Nathan Vardy to tag him again.
I literally just thought that. I was like, can we bring back Scott for one game? I actually don't think there's anything we can do. Max could do anything. If he wants to go out there and have 25 and 50 hit outs, he probably could. Because Bailey was going to do his absolute best. But if anything, the last couple of weeks, it's sort of, he's been flagging a little bit. Like, this is the time where we really need that experienced ruckman in the side, and we just don't have anyone to call on, which is a shame. Like, even Barnett's not even playing at the moment. I think he's injured as well. So, yeah, there's nowhere really for us to turn. I think Williams is, in terms of Jack Williams, has shown a couple of signs over the last 4 or 5 weeks. But again, he's just so young and he's still developing and growing in that. So there's not a lot we can do, to be honest, with Max. I think he's just going to have his way with us.
Yeah, he is. And look, I think we can match their forward line well enough if we are just strong enough around the ball, but it's going to be hard when you consider the dominance that Gawn is likely to have, and then Oliver and Viney and Petrarca around the ball. So not overly optimistic. I don't think we necessarily will get smashed, but it's a tough one to feel as if you're a chance to win, unfortunately. But still looking forward to it, and there's still lots to keep our eyes on. Liam Ryan showed some good signs late in the game. He was terrible early, just nowhere near it. And then he got on the end of a few late on and kicked a goal, and maybe that gives his confidence a bit of a lift. I think we just have to be patient with him, unfortunately, considering how long he was out and the fact that he's not naturally strong. He's a player who needs rhythm. When he first came into the team, he was coming off an incredible waffle season. He just carried that into the side and just maintained it for like 3 years before the injuries hit. I feel like we just have to be patient with him. We've got no choice.
Yeah, and the team that he came into was a premiership winning team. It's vastly different setup these days. So he's not going to be. He hasn't got the weapons around him, and he hasn't got the luxury of being a top team, where it's a lot easier to be a small to medium forward. So he's got to refine his game, but also, our expectations have to be slightly more modest, given it's a tough environment for him to thrive in. But we know what he's capable of, and the coaching staff obviously are willing to give him time to get settled back in. So every week he's going to get better and he's going to get fitter, and we know that that's something that he needs to always keep on top of. So he gets another chance. I mean, he famously took that mark over Max Gawn all those years ago against the Demons. So something like that, just to reignite some memories, would go down pretty well. Now, did you catch my Harley Reid update a couple of weeks ago? I don't think we've potted since.
No, I was going to get onto Harley Reid and in particular the Kane Corns comments, which I wouldn't mind touching on. But yes, take us to the contract talks that you reported on Fox Sports and where they're at. Yeah,
so I've been keeping tabs on it just for a couple of weeks and just thought, I just need something more. I need a little more to go on, a little just to give like a proper update on where things were at. And then I was told that that Nick Geeshan had flown into WA for the weekend and he'd met up with a few of his clients, including Harley, and then West Coast had a meeting with him, and the family have been involved with some talks with the club as well. So there's certainly been discussions about what the next steps are, and the Eagles have sort of, I mean, as you would, they've sort of made it pretty clear about the long-term project and how they see it all for Harley going forward. But yeah, there's not going to be any contract signed anytime soon. Certainly not before the end of the season, and I don't reckon he'll go into next year necessarily locked away either, Garby. But I'm pretty confident that he will sign a contract extension at some point. But at this point, there's no rush for him to sign because obviously it's a 3-year contract to start with, and at this point, he's playing good footy and is only becoming more valuable by the week as he continues to be a teenager who's playing as an inside midfielder and playing really good footy. So, I think the Reid camp are aware as well that the salary cap, A, is increasing, and B, there's going to be more space with some of the senior players at West Coast either getting pay cuts or leaving. So there's going to be a lot of room to move. So I think they're just sort of keeping their powder dry and getting ready to field a few big offers, but ultimately probably re-sign at West Coast.
Well, that'd be awesome. I mean, even if it's just the 1-year extension for now, it gives us a bit of extra time to hopefully set him up for an extension to that, and he can be at the club for 6 or 7 years. So we'd love that in the short term. Yeah, I mean, I think every single Eagles fan understands the landscape. I don't think there would be monumental shock if he didn't stay beyond 3 years. But at the same time, everything we've seen so far is encouraging that he'll re-sign. So we need to, be of that mindset too, and just enjoy every game that we've got him for at the minute while he's developing. And yeah, he's been down the last couple of weeks. Let's be honest, he hasn't. I mean, the bar is so high. Like if he was doing these things as any other first-year player that wasn't named Harley Reid with the hype, you'd be, in awe of the talent. But because the bar is so high, we say, there's been a couple of down games for him. That's just the way it is. What did you make of Kane Corns' comments that sort of targeted his fitness and his preparation early on in his career? Yeah,
just thought he got that one wrong.
I think most people did. I think even Kane maybe resigned himself to that a little bit.
Yeah, I think he went on radio to clarify the comments maybe even the next day. But ultimately, I just don't think he should be commenting on Harley's training standards or his level of professionalism or the stuff that he was getting at. Even, I think Caro on the panel was so quick to point out, it's like, well, you've never watched him train. But how would you know? Like, players cramp and he's a 19-year-old playing inside midfield, like heavy minutes.
Yeah.
And then comparing him to Nick Dacos, who played when he was that age, was playing as a halfback flanker, and are completely different players, completely different types of athletes. Like Nick Dacos is lean, a running machine, and Harley is a bull. Like, it's just chalk and cheese, and I think he just got it really wrong.
I mean, I agree completely. You did, and he's 8 games in. Like, just give him a spell. No one is saying, as good as Harley is, no one is saying he's the complete athlete. No one is saying he's Nick Dacos or Chris Judd in terms of their preparation. You know, they were machines early on. Harley is playing a bit more on natural talent now, but the majority of first-year players do. He didn't even do a full preseason because he gets drafted, a couple of months after preseason starts, and then he's a first-year player, so he's on modified program. Like, the point that he needs to, if he wants to be one of the greatest, he needs to prepare like the greatest. Well, we all understand that. Like, we've all known that in sport for how long? Like, there's nothing new there.
It's self-evident.
I just think there's a little bit of, Kane's been prodding the Eagles for 3-4 years, and there's just a little bit of that attached to it. And then, it might not be in his mind, but it doesn't matter. He's been defending Jason Horne-Francis for how long? And you're going to target Harley Reid after 8 games when Horne-Francis was, far worse in terms of his application, but you never called him out. You're going to get called out for that. And many people were quick to point that out.
Yeah, it's just, and he'd been pretty complimentary of Harley for the probably previous 3 weeks. And then it was almost like he felt, I've got a zag. Everyone else is praising him for the double don't argue, so I'm just going to pick out that he got a cramp with 5 minutes to go. Yeah, anyway, it was odd. And surely at this point now that Harley has seen so much of this discussion about him every week that he probably just entirely ignores it now. He'd just be water off the duck's back.
Yeah. He doesn't seem too affected. But he hasn't been great the last 2 weeks. He seemed a little bit flat. So hopefully we see Harley at his best this week. That'd be nice. And, he took amazing grab on the weekend, and that was exciting. But, I watched him also when he went forward. Braden Maynard went to him. Like, that's the work that the opposition are doing to him every week. Like, as soon as he went into the forward 50, Braden Maynard, who's double his size, as big as Harley is, and Collingwood's best, medium-sized defender, one of the best in the league, straight to him. So that was the plan. So he's going to have to deal with that. But, I can see us maybe using him a little bit differently this week. Like, I'd like to see him not start at the first down, start up forward, and just give the opposition something they don't quite expect with him. And maybe that'll help free him up a little bit early in games and build his confidence.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to whatever, because wherever he plays on the ground, he's going to have a major effect. And but do you think they'll be hesitant to do that, considering we got belted around the ball by Collingwood? Like, he's currently he's our second best clearance player, and if Yo's not playing, then and we've just got belted, 16-6 in centre clearances by Collingwood last week, that they might be a little hesitant to take him out. But look, who knows?
Yeah, I like to see him play there for 70% of the game. Just start him out of there. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't start him straight in the middle. Start him at half forward. Let him come off the line straight away and get into the contest that way, just so he doesn't have, a behemoth blocking him at every turn from the first centre bounce, and he's like, oh, geez, how do I get in the game here,
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Anyway, we've got to wait till Sunday night. So there's a whole weekend of footy ahead of us before we get to settle in for the Eagles game. But I'm looking forward to watching us go about it.
Yeah, can't wait for Sunday night. Probably not going to go the way we want, but hopefully we see some improvement around stoppage and contest work. And this backline, this excellent backline that we've got brewing at the moment can, keep us in the contest for large periods. And who knows, maybe we give them a scare, the Dees. So looking forward to it. Thanks, Nest family. Give us your thoughts on X, Twitter. Share with us any comments you've got and anything we've had to say. And we'll chat to you in the coming weeks. Hopefully the Eagles go well against the Dees, Drewy.
Go Eagles.